Okay, joined now by our international correspondent, Alex Newman. Alex, thanks for joining us as usual.
Great to be with you. Thank you, Duke.
Well, it's a little hope, right? We report a lot of bad stories here and a lot of depressing ones, but these are pretty good. We've got actually Donald Trump, who gave just a fantastic speech on the 4th of July. You know how you know it was a really great speech? You know how you know? You know because of how the media reacted to it. Rather than really attacking the speech, they attacked the location, they attacked the delivery, they attacked the fact that it was on stolen ground. The fact that Donald Trump gave this speech, and they really couldn't do much to undermine the speech, tells you that we are right in recognizing that this may be one of the finest speeches a president has given since the Reagan days. And a big part of what makes it such a good speech is that he looked the American public school systems with all their unions and lobbyists. He looked the American universities with all their leeching off the federal tit, right? He looked them in the eye and said, this is on you. The anarchy, the destruction of our values, the vandalization of our cultural history, this is right squarely on you.
He did. And I think that is the most important thing that we could be talking about as a nation. It's not racial injustice, it's not police brutality, it's the fact that so many of our young people have been indoctrinated against America, to really hate their country, as Trump put it. And he's right. He said, this is against every law of society and nature, and yet we're teaching all of our children to hate America in the government school system. And that's why we have the mayhem out in the streets. So he hit the nail on the head. And he also did something that I think was really important. He flipped the script, and he explained how America was really the one responsible for, and the principles enshrined in our Declaration of Independence, which we were celebrating on 4th of July weekend. This kind of laid the foundation for abolishing slavery, and yet the poor kids coming out of the government school system have it exactly backwards. So you've done the research in your classrooms there. You figured out that more than half of the young people coming to you believe that America invented slavery.
Almost 8 out of 10.
Oh, my goodness. See, and that tells you everything you need to know right now. They've been brainwashed and indoctrinated in the government school system. They don't realize that slavery has been with us from time immemorial, and that the incredible principles enshrined in the Declaration, all men are created equal, they're all endowed by their creator with certain inalienable rights, that laid the foundation for eventually getting rid of slavery. And that's what we should be celebrating. And Trump did a phenomenal job of connecting all those dots and putting the blame squarely where it belongs.
Well, Eduardo Nerett at Campus Reform, he's one of the younger people on that site who routinely goes around doing the on-campus interviews, right? He's in the news because he did a 4th of July one. And Mark Levin on his show yesterday really hit this hard. You had all these college kids who were 100% Black Lives Matter. They believed that America was created out of racism, that the entire founding of the country was corrupted and must be done away with. And yet when Eduardo was asking them basic questions, who did the United States win their independence from? What century did we finally get our independence? Basic questions that any third grader ought to know. These juniors and seniors in colleges couldn't even answer them.
So I was a 7th grade civics teacher, government teacher, and she is an elementary school teacher, 4th grade, 2nd grade elementary school teacher.
What year did we get our independence?
17 something.
And that's the recipe for disaster, because you've got colossal ignorance teamed with colossal arrogance, right? That's where civilizations go away. I can't think of a single civilization. You're a pretty historically educated guy, so am I. I can't think, Alex, of a single culture in human history that despised itself as much as Western culture does now. The German people, after the fall of the Nazi regime, didn't hate themselves as much as we're training 12 to 20-year-olds to despise their own country, and it's all based on faulty information.
I actually don't teach what's in our curriculum. I'm teaching children social studies that's not in our curriculum. I'm teaching them things about how to be an anti-racist. Instead of teaching those same 3 famous Black people that we continue to teach, I taught them about protesting. I taught them about Black Lives Matter. I taught them about things that are happening currently so that they could make those connections. And when they see it on the news, they're informed. They're not ignoring the facts of our world right now. They're facts that we're actually a racist country.
I don't think America will survive another generation or two of this. So I'm glad that Trump is speaking about this. That's the first step, right? It's like any doctor will tell you, the first step to getting a proper treatment regime or a proper cure is to have an accurate diagnosis. And Trump provided in this incredible speech an accurate diagnosis of the problem. The public school system is brainwashing, indoctrinating, and dumbing down our children. And so that is where I think the American people, if we want to preserve our nation, if we want to preserve our liberties, that's what we need to focus on. We've got to make sure that our taxes are no longer used to indoctrinate our young people, or America will not survive. It's that simple.
Well, we heard from the president. We heard from Mark Levin on the same issue. You and I, God knows, have been talking about it for a long time. But Rush Limbaugh, boy, that's a really important voice to start talking this up. Limbaugh on his show hasn't spent a lot of time on the universities. I mean, he's always been aware, and whenever it comes up, he'll talk about them. But he really, in the wake of Donald Trump's speech, he really did an incredible monologue blasting what's going on in the schools and the colleges.
Yeah, he did. It was incredible. In fact, like Donald Trump, he pointed out that the reason we're seeing this destruction of the United States is straight back to the government school system, the indoctrination that's going on there. And, to his credit, Rush Limbaugh has, I think, been realizing more and more what the problem is. In fact, in late 2019, he urged parents to consider pulling their children out of the public schools. He encouraged millennial parents to homeschool their children if the parents want the children to be intelligent and well-educated. So he's coming around. And just yesterday, July 8th, the day before we recorded this, he actually dedicated a large part of his program to exposing the government school system. So when you have the president of the United States and probably the leading media figure in the United States, estimates say his show is heard by about 15 million people every day, far and away the most influential talk show host in America. When you have those two guys zeroing in on the public school system, I think it's almost inevitable that there's going to be a big public awakening. We're seeing it now. President Trump in his 2020 State of the Union speech said, hey, we got to save our children from the failing government schools. Now we see the school website in North Carolina to register homeschooling just crashed from so much demand. This is all very good.
In this time of crisis, Harvard University decides they're going to put all their classes online, not just for the fall, but for the spring of 2021. Almost 9 months from now, they're just decided they're going to make them all online. And they had the audacity to raise tuition on top of that. And a lot of other universities are following suit. The University of Michigan is going to online courses, which means much less teacher interaction, much less contact between professors who know what they're doing and the students, fewer office hours, fewer on-campus amenities. So here comes Michigan now in the wake of Harvard, and they're going online with their classes, and they're raising tuition. And you think about how the public schools are handling this, how the teachers' unions are whining and wheedling about this, how they don't want to go back to campus, how Trump's endangering our school kids. When you think about the exodus that's taking place now from public schools to private and homeschooling, we have to look at that as a good thing.
Absolutely, Duke. In fact, I think it's the most important thing that an average parent can do. If you love America, if you love your children, if you love freedom, the most significant thing you can do to contribute positively in that fight is to withdraw your children from the public school system. The president is hitting the nail on the head. Rush Limbaugh. We've even had Franklin Graham. We talked about some time ago. He urged parents in New Jersey to pull their children out of the public school system. I think we're going to see a massive exodus from the public school system. We're already seeing it, and I think this is some of the best news that we might have seen in my entire lifetime. I can't think of anything more important than rescuing these children, and this is a very, very good start, so I'm in a good mood today.
Well, good. And we have about a minute and a half left. Why don't you take that time to explain an organization that you and I were two of the four founders of? Give us a little overview of Public School Exit, PSE, Public School Exit, and any moms and dads out there who are interested in learning more about the exodus and getting out of public schools. You can join us at FreedomProject, FPEUSA.org, take a look at what we're doing, or they could go take a look at Public School Exit. Explain what that is.
Yeah, well, thank you, Duke. And it's a phenomenal organization founded by you and I and Dran Reese, who's with the Salt and Light Council, and also E. Ray Moore, Lieutenant Colonel E. Ray Moore, who founded the Exodus Mandate, who's been urging Christian parents to get their children out of the public schools for over 20 years now. And the goal, as the name implies, is to rescue as many children from the public school system as possible. We're developing partnerships with private schools across the nation, trying to fund scholarships for students to get out. And we really want to be kind of like a one-stop shop for parents to come there and recognize, okay, I've got to pull my children out. Now, what do I do? We want to provide help along the way. So now we're doing weekly webinars with our incredible team of experts and advisors. Some of the people on our advisory board. We've got Sam Sorbo. We've got Rebecca Friedrichs. We've got Pastor Carl Brogy. We've just got an all-star team of lawyers, pastors, educators. We've got the Diane Douglas, the former superintendent of public instruction for the state of Arizona, who went in thinking she could reform the system and then realized, nope, not reformable. It's a complete and total disgrace. So we've got an incredible team, and I think we're going to do great things, Duke. I think we're already doing great things. We're already hearing so much great feedback. And if people want to learn more, go to publicschoolexit.com.
Alex Newman, I want to thank you for your time today. And publicschoolexit.com is a place to check out. Freedom Project Academy is a place to check out. This is the time, Mom and Dad. You can literally transform this country. You are the only ones, parents. You are the only ones who can put this country back together. And how do you do it? You do it by getting your young children out of those government indoctrination systems, put them in education that is religiously based, Christian, if possible, put them in schools where they're learning classical learning, they're getting a really good education. You want these kids at age 5 and 7 and 10 to run circles around these college kids by being able to talk about the actual circumstances of the founding of this country. You now know the public schools, the colleges aren't doing it. If we're going to have a chance to make America survive again, let alone great again, it's going to have to be by taking generations of young kids and giving them an education that sees America for the overall force for good that it is and has been in the world for a long time now.